people? Perry here with another long overdue episode of Surviving Creatively, or a long overdue video on my channel for that matter. If you don't know, my wife and I just had a baby, and she takes up pretty much all of my time. So apologies all around to those of you that keep up with my videos, and that's basically why I haven't been able to be posting anything as of right now. I'll tell you a little bit about it, just the kind of things that I've gone into, just to talk a little bit about it. But what I wanted to do first was to tell you a little bit about what's going on here, and we're continuing on with the build of our vault, and you can see there's lots of different changes. One of them, that big roof up there. This roof took a little bit of finagling to get done. You can tell there's a little bit of a complex shape here. This pillar that goes all the way up to the top, and then it curves in to kind of follow the roof line right into the middle. And this was all done with the use of MC Edit. Great program. I know a lot of you recommend to me to use World Edit, and for myself, I tend to find MC Edit more useful for the things that I have to do. So I do appreciate all the suggestions that you give me, but for myself, MC Edit's really where it's at. But you can see right here, this is where I've been basically coming up with the idea. It's really interesting when I go into MC Edit and I start building some of the things that you see in this world. You don't really get to see some of the behind the scenes stuff, and that's mainly because of the fact that I don't really know exactly how to explain some of this. I mean, take a look at all of this. It's kind of interesting to know that all of this was used to make the roof, the dome that's in there. But at the same time, I have to find some sort of way to try to explain it to you. And I'm trying to find time in order to kind of come up with what goes into it. But as with the baby and all that stuff, it takes a little bit of time to do. And right now, she kind of takes up pretty much all of my time. So once I'm able to kind of wrap my head around what I do in MC Edit, then I'll be able to share that with you. But for now, you'll just have to just be satisfied with looking at it for now. One of the things that I did, which was a little bit of an edit from what I originally planned, was that first I wanted to just make the dome itself and then install it in. But when I got into the world, I found out that, hey, you know what? There's no lighting in here, so everything in here was pitch black. So I had to add in some lighting, and that goes for the rest of this build. This whole build right here, it's going to be a little bit of an issue trying to light up everything, and you'll see as we go along here that a lot of this stuff, there's a lot of these sea lanterns installed here. But what I ended up doing was putting in some sea lanterns up here, kind of hidden and out of the way, and that's kind of like the theme of what I've been dealing with thus far in this area. It was trying to find ways of hiding lighting. Not that the sea lantern in itself it's a decent block, it's just that it's a little bit too much, and I don't want it to be too overbearing for the whole build itself. I mean, you can see already on the inside here, you can see the abundance of sea lanterns, but I'll have to try and figure out some way of covering it up. And so that's what I'll be doing right now. This episode is going to be a little bit different, and we're going to go back to something that I tried to do earlier, way back when, which was to kind of shoot it all in one go, mainly because of the fact that as of this moment, I don't have that much time, and that is because of my baby. Little bit of an issue trying to get into a routine. We're starting to get into a routine right now, my wife and I. But as of right now, it's really difficult, and I'll tell you a little bit of a story. She actually had to go in for what's called a C-section and that's basically meaning that she had to get cut open and in order to deliver the baby. And that was because when we initially went into the not the operating room, but the hospital, our initial plan was to go get induced, which basically means that we are, let's try my Minecrafting skills are a little bit rusty. But yeah, so we went into the hospital. Our daughter was about 10 days late, so she was a little bit of a stubborn child already. And what ended up happening was that when we went there, they initially told us that we won't be able to induce you. And what inducing is that they basically they kind of jumpstart the whole thing, and they put in whatever it is that they put in to my wife, and from there, it kind of gets the ball rolling in terms of delivering the baby. So we weren't expecting on delivering the baby that day. But when we went to the hospital, they initially said to us, you know what, we don't really have room for you just right now. So what we'll do is we'll just monitor the baby, and we'll just send you home. So they did that. They hooked my wife up to monitors to kind of get a sense of what the baby was doing. And what ended up happening was that the baby had an elevated heartbeat. And that was a little bit concerning, especially for myself. There's a little bit of a worry there. We weren't too sure what was happening with that, why she was having an elevated heartbeat, and the doctors were very much concerned about that. So they basically told us that, yeah, you're going to be having the baby today. So out of abundance of caution, basically to keep the baby safe and my wife safe, it was really important to try and figure out why our baby had that elevated heartbeat, because there could be a multitude of things that could have been wrong with her, and the best option was basically to get the baby out as soon as possible. So they tried to induce her at that point, and because at that point she was kind of more of a priority, so they made room for us to deliver the baby. They tried to induce her, and that didn't really work out. And so in the morning, we went in at night, and in the morning, they decided, okay, well, it's done the best that you could with trying to deliver the baby naturally. Unfortunately, we'll have to do the C-section. And my wife was actually kind of relieved at that point, because knowing hearing about the pain of childbirth and all that stuff, she was kind of relieved that they would have to they would be able to get it out. But the problem with that is that it presents other problems, such as the fact that it takes about 6 weeks for her to fully heal. And that's where I come in, and that's where I pretty much have to step up and get my father skills in order. And what ended up happening after that is that we delivered the baby. She ended up being completely healthy. There was a little bit of an issue, but it was promptly taken care of quite quickly by the fact that we delivered that baby. And I'm very thankful that the baby's healthy, my wife is healthy, and really that's all you can ask for. I'm really grateful to the people over at Children's Hospital. They did a fantastic job with my wife and providing the best care possible. So like I was saying, this is where Dad needs to step in now, because my wife having a C-section, it's a major operation. They basically cut you open and in order to get the baby out. So she has to heal, but that's where I have to kind of step in there and start taking care of the baby. Basically do everything that the mom would be doing at that point, feeding the baby, making sure that, putting the baby to sleep, changing diapers and all that stuff. I wasn't really, I guess I was prepared for the eventual fact that I'll be taking care of her, of course, but I wasn't thinking about the fact that I wouldn't have help from my wife. And my wife, bless her heart, she wishes that she could have done more at that point in time, but she knew that, and I knew that it was really important for her to take care of herself. So I really had to step up to the plate and try and do whatever I could to make sure that my wife's recovery went as smoothly as possible and make sure that the baby was okay. But in doing all of that, a lot of things get left by the wayside, and such as this channel. And it's really unfortunate because I was looking forward to starting, kind of like turning over a new leaf, entering a new chapter on this channel. I had an announcement all ready to go, but unfortunately I haven't been able to get that out to you guys just yet, but it's coming. It is coming for sure. I'm really excited about doing it. I can't really go into too much details about it just yet because I want to make sure that that announcement is something that you guys, it kind of grabs your attention. So I'm going to leave that little bit of a suspense for you guys till that actual video comes out, which should be sometime soon. Since the whole operation and the delivery of the baby, like I said, it's been rough goings. I've had to make some changes in my life. Basically, all I do now is take care of the baby and once in a while play a little Minecraft when I can. So, you know what? It's stuff that my wife and I were kind of thinking was going to happen, but at the same time, we were really hoping that it wouldn't. But you know what? We do what we got to do in order to make sure that our family is okay, and I'm quite happy to do it. My wife is basically getting back to normal right now, which is why I'm putting out a video. But in terms of getting things back to normal, that's not going to be for a while. But one thing that I have been committed to, and what is really important to me, is staying on top of this channel. Well, trying to stay on top of this channel. Obviously, I've been kind of lax in my responsibilities with it, but that will be changing as of right now because of the fact that my wife is doing much better and she is going to start to be able to take care of baby a little bit more. So but I'll tell you what, it's an experience of a lifetime. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. I'm so thankful that my daughter is a-okay and everything turned out well. But yeah, that's basically my story. That's my spiel. Like I said, this episode's going to be a little bit different. I will be doing this pretty much all in one take, and then I'll be returning back to the baby, making sure that she's okay and all that good stuff. But let's move on. Let's move on from the story. Let's talk a little bit about what has been happening in this world. I've talked about the roof there, and I've talked a little bit about we're going to be doing some lighting here. The big thing that I'm going to do now is to try covering it up. And what I was doing just now was, I have yet to do that. Nah, that's okay. That's okay. I'll fill that in later. But right now I'm trying to cover up the sea lanterns a bit with this orange stained glass. And the idea behind it is that I want to take the blue out as much as possible, kind of mute it down a little bit, and the orange stained glass kind of matches this yellow stained clay. So the idea behind it is that I wanted it to be more of a singular color, except for the fact that there's little bits of blue here and there. So, and you can see what I'm doing right now is that the reason why these are in here, why the sea lanterns are in here, is to give a little bit of a highlight to the archway. Because once I put the roof on here, this entire place was completely dark and you couldn't really see any of the details that I wanted to show you. So that's pretty much what I've been doing in here. Oh, the other thing is that Trouble Runner had mentioned to me that it would be probably a good idea if I added in these slightly damaged anvils, and it's kind of made them kind of sporadic throughout the build. Like here, for instance, put something down like that. Gives it a little bit of a worn-in look. So thank you, Trouble. I always love your comments. She's a long-time viewer of this channel, and I really do love hearing from you and all those great comments that you give me. So let's see, what else have I done here? It's been so long since I've recorded an episode, and truth be told, when I ever have time to be doing things, I just jump on and work on the world itself. So it's kind of hard to discern which things I've done and which things I haven't done. This is going to be a little bit of a bridge, and you can see there's an archway right here, and that's going to be connecting this whole thing together. The main thing that I'm trying to go for is to keep this middle area isolated from the rest of the area, and by having the bridge like so, it kind of gives a sense of isolation in that there's not too much stuff here, but the whole support structure is anchored into this area right here. So it kind of gives, like I said, it gives a little bit of a isolation type feel. I hope that makes sense to you guys. I'm running on a little bit of, I wouldn't say less sleep, a lot less sleep, about 3 hours a night if I'm lucky, depending on what the baby feels like doing at any given moment. But and this area right here, I'm gonna have to figure out some sort of archway that will go in here. So I've basically just blanketed down a bunch of blocks just so that I can kind of carve out the arch that I'm looking for. And that's pretty much it for this area. I'm really liking how it's turned out thus far. I think that the soaring system is just doing great, and I think that you know what, I'm really looking forward to kind of working out the kinks of this system, and hopefully we'll get to building down this area right here, which is the receiving area. So there'll be lots of things to do down there. Now outside, I've been working a little bit on the outside, just a little bit. And one of the things that I've been working on is the palace structure itself. The palace is coming along quite nicely. I've had to make some changes. If you remember a while back, I've had to change over a lot of these blocks because I used a custom-made texture pack before, and that was because it gave me a little bit more flexibility when it came to using some of the blocks. But now that I'm back to the original texture pack, the default texture pack, I've had to make some adjustments to the different types of blocks. For instance, this used to be bricks, the red bricks, and that wasn't really working with the whole roof and the way things were. So instead I changed it over to the stone bricks. The stained glass, I decided to go with the light gray stained glass. That was because of the fact that the regular glass didn't really work with my eye. It looked a little bit too busy for myself. And and these ones right here used to be iron blocks, and in my custom texture pack, that used to be a little bit of a little bit more pleasing to my eye. So instead of using the regular iron block, which didn't really work for me, I went with these pillar quartz block, which I will tell you what, I was quite surprised at how well that this turned out. I was kind of worried that I wouldn't be able to find a block that would work well with this area, but it's turned out quite well. Over here, this right here, the glowstone, will have to be covered in some sort of fashion. I'm not too sure how it's going to work out exactly because of the fact that I've been trying to inset this glowstone just a little bit, but that runs into trouble with the plans that I have for the interior. But you know what, I'll work that out soon. The reason why I'm trying to inset this in one block is that I wanted to fill in this with some sort of I think I was thinking about some sort of fence type thing. I can bring out some fences here. Yeah, fill it in like this. And then it kind of covers up the glowstone. Maybe gives it a little bit of continuity, a little bit of structure to it. So, but I'm trying to figure out that as we go along. And I don't want to mess that up. There we go. That's fine. But yeah, all these things, you know, what they take some time to kind of get together to try figure out. I'll have to figure out this area right here. You can see there's a bunch of gaps in between the walls, and that's because I've yet to kind of figure out how these are going to merge together, especially right here, because I plan on kind of having a little bit of a curve to the structure, and that will probably have to deal with in another episode. I'm planning on scheduling that for like another episode where we can just concentrate on building the curve into the wall. And as far as the actual castle has gone, of course, the keep itself, haven't really worked on it too much, mainly because of the fact that I've been trying to figure out a decent design. When you build on the small scale, it's easy to build on a small scale because you're just trying to get all the things in the right places, like the basic structure. But once you start putting it out in the large scale or the regular scale, the problem ends up being that details, because as you can see, it's a pretty basic looking thing. But I've been trying to work with some of these blocks. For instance, these stone slabs have been pretty cool, but you know what, it's all a process, and hopefully I'll be able to work something out there. But it's coming along quite nicely. Don't be dissuade is that a word, dissuade? But don't take what I'm showing you right now as the final product. It's all a process, and let that be a lesson to some of you guys out there. If you're getting frustrated with some of your builds, you're not too sure where you're taking them. It happens to me too, and you know what, these things happen, and sometimes you will come up with something much better in the long run. It just takes a little bit of time and maybe a little bit of inspiration, and hopefully I can provide some of that for you. Hopefully some of these ideas that you see on this channel and this video kind of spur your creative juices going, and hopefully you guys can make something awesome. And I would really love to see it. So if you got a creation that you'd like to show me, send me like a link on Twitter, or maybe post it in the comments. I think YouTube flags those types of comments, so maybe Twitter might be a better option for you. But that's actually going to be it for this episode. I'm not too sure how long this is, but like I said, I'm trying to film it all in one take. Got to get back to the baby and all that good stuff. But hopefully that major announcement that I've been thinking of doing, or trying to get done, hopefully that will get out soon, because I'm really looking forward to doing a bunch of things on this channel, and I'm really excited to get you guys involved as well. So that's going to be it for this episode. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to leave your comments down below. I love hearing from you guys, even though I haven't been able to answer a lot of comments. And hopefully by the time this video comes out, I'll have responded to some of you guys, even though it's been like a month and a half since you posted that comment. But yeah, don't forget to leave your comments down below. If you're new to this channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And always remember, keep your head up, and I'll see you in the next one.